And what about Seversk? What is the current state of affairs? And why was it so difficult to take this settlement? You must have seen, you must have heard the briefing of the head of the General Staff, as well as the head of the group of forces, the group of armies, the commander, as well as the head of the brigade that is engaged in hostilities there. I asked him, what's your current take on the situation in Seversk? Are you firmly in control? He said, Mr. President, we are moving even further west. 1.5, 2 kilometers. My brigade has already made that movement in the west, and this movement is continuing. You probably remember there was this briefing on Seversk, and we had a report of the assault group from the spot, from Seversk. If you remember, at the end, I asked them to change their position as soon as possible once the report was over. And I think it was yesterday, because time is flying by. We had a meeting at the Ministry of Defense, and once the collegium was over, there was an award ceremony for our warriors. Was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? Yeah, there was an award ceremony for those who participated in the liberation of Seversk, and once that was over, I went back to the Kremlin, to my office, and I asked the head of the assault group to come by, see me, because I wanted to talk to him about the current agenda. I do that from time to time when an opportunity presents itself. And we also had a meeting on the preparations for today's event, and he came straight to the room of the Security Council, and I asked him to say a couple of words so that every colleague can hear what's the current state of affairs in Seversk, how it happened, and he started recounting, just a couple of words, very briefly. And once he went away, colleagues asked whether we could invite him to the direct line. I said, well, you can ask him, but his leave is not that long, so, we phoned him, and he's here. He agreed. Naran Alexeyevich. There he is. Naran, is that correct? Yes, please, be seated. Take your seat, yeah. Am I correct? Is this how this happened? Yes. If you've got any questions about what is happening in Seversk and how the liberation took place, you can ask him directly. I think it's going to be better. Let's give a round of applause to a hero of Russia. Let's welcome him. Naran Alexeyevich, we saw you during that TV bridge, but we don't know you personally. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where are you from? How long have you been participating in the special military operation? Where did you start? I'm from Kalmykia. I started from Solidar. First, I was just an assault soldier, and now I'm head of the assault unit. Well, he started just as a driver, and right now he is the head of an assault unit, and more than 80 people are under his command. And he's also a hero of the Russian Federation. Don't be modest. Naran Alexeyevich, colleagues, journalists, must have seen this this meeting between President and yourself and the colleagues. The communication was spotty at best because of the signal. Right now, we've got more time, and could you tell us a little bit about how Seversk was liberated. We would very much like to learn how it happened. Of course, share what you can share, what your soldiers did. I can repeat my question. I said when he came to the room of the Security Council, what was the most difficult? Well, the most difficult thing was to get to Seversk in secret, because, you know, these were open fields, there were no natural shelters. That's why a decision had been made to move in small groups, clandestinely, and we managed to perform this task. We managed to accumulate forces right under the nose of the adversary, and once the accumulation happened, we waited for the command to start assault. There were many civilians that were staying in Seversk. What was the attitude of the armed forces of Ukraine to civilians? For quite some time, the civilians had been living, how shall I put it? Well, yes, they've been living in fear under the pressure of the adversary, and once we managed to liberate our zone, that was our responsibility. We started to talk to the civilians, and they told us that the Ukrainian armed forces had been behaving just like nationalists, shooting those who didn't want to evacuate with them. So civilians didn't have any arms, and they were shot at because they were willing to stay in the city, just for this simple fact. And once our armed forces arrived there, how were you welcomed? When we came, people were in a very difficult state, both physically and morally, and when they saw us, they were very happy. They had been listening in secret to Russian radio, waiting for us to arrive, and they were very happy. Naran Alexeyevich, you said that when the armed forces of Ukraine were withdrawing, they were shooting the civilians. And back then you said that they were shooting down young people, yes, especially young people under 30, under 40. They were simply taken away without judge and summarily shot down without exception. What's your current take on what's happening in this part of the front line? On the whole, it's stable. As I reported to Mr. President, we moved even further beyond Seversk. Naran Alexeyevich, when we look at you, when we listen to you, we want to repeat once again that our warriors are true warriors, true men. And what's the morale of your guys, of your soldiers, those who are under your command? We are working conscientiously and steadily, pursuing the tasks set before us by the Commander-in-Chief, and the goals of the Special Military Operations will be accomplished. Naran Alexeyevich, how many people are there under your command, and what are the losses that you've sustained? In my assault group, I've got 157 people, and when Seversk was being liberated, 24 groups had been employed to the total number of 84 people. There were minimum losses because we were moving in small groups. 4 men were lost out of 84. Those 84 had been participating in the assault itself. Let's thank the hero of Russia once again.